Vicki Haspels. I'm the Conscious Mystic, and this is a weekly forecast for week commencing February 13th, 2023. Each week I like to bring some guidance using my deck, the Mythic Tarot, pull some cards, and let's look at the energy for the week ahead. I put my interpretation on what those cards mean from the messages that I'm getting as I'm pulling the cards. So I don't even know what's coming up yet because I haven't done the cards, but let's go, and hopefully it doesn't get too windy. For those of you who are playing along, I'm coming to you. I'm still in Tasmania, coming to you from the lovely town of St. Helens, and a lovely couple of days. Weather's always very interesting. Oh, there goes the wind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Welcome back. I had to take a bit of a break from my other place that I was at because it was really windy, so you wouldn't have been able to hear me. This is a place of many bugs, so if I'm doing a lot of this, many bugs. But a much nicer day, a much nicer backdrop. I've already chosen my 6 cards, so I kept them from yesterday, and let's do the weekly forecast. Again, this is for week commencing February 13th, 2023, and using the deck, the Mythic Tarot. Let me just put that there. And we're going to start with the first card, which is the conscious self, or the self, the known part of us. And even if we're not aware of it, we can certainly recognize when it's happening. And so therefore we have here the Hierophant. The Hierophant is in that space. Now, the Hierophant, he represents that part of us that has like an urge to discover new things of a higher purpose, but it comes with study. So more often than not, there'll be new information coming your way, there might be teachers coming your way, or there'll be books, something that's going to pique our interest that says, I want to study this. It's that part of us that wants to bridge the known into the unknown. We want to make sense of something, but we understand that by first learning it and then doing it, we can actually achieve what it is that we're looking for. So the Hierophant is going to be that part of us, that interest that's being piqued, that thinks, I'd like to study that. I need to know a little bit more about that. And so therefore, but it comes from a place of expertise. So somebody who has a bit more knowledge, guru, teacher, whatever you want to call it, even a book, and might even be a YouTube or a podcast, but you'll be learning something. We'll be learning something new. Or that part of us is going to be piqued. So lots of little things will start taking our interest. So the unconscious or subconscious part of us, which is driven by the soul, which is also like our guides work with that, spirit world works with that to help us realize that the Hierophant part of who we are is the Queen of Wands. Love the Queen of Wands for motivation. I love the Queen of Wands for me at the moment, the queens mean the self rather than anything bigger than me and anything that I feel less than. So in other words, the queen represents the part of ourselves that we want to build up and make improve or increase on. So the fact that it's the Queen of Wands means that there'll be a lot of motivation and there'll be no backing down. So it's either don't be a gunner, as somebody said to me once upon a time. So our guides, our soul, is not going to let us think, I'll do that later, I'll pick that up later. It's really going to be sort of a bit of not a push as in an urgency, but more so it won't be not so much our mind, but probably our inside will be going, I really want to do that, I really want to do that. And so it just keeps us motivated and heading in that right direction, so that we do pursue or follow up those things that we'd like to learn. So the next card we're looking at is the fear, I guess, or sometimes what we're going to gain from the experience, and that often comes with a fear because it's something to overcome. It's a challenge to overcome, and it's a thing that gets in the way, the thing that we must address so that all this other stuff can actualize. So we have the High Priestess. our intuition. I thought, oh, that's fascinating, isn't it? I love that. So the intuition is the stumbling block. Trusting our intuition. You know what? The message around this is that we are going to try and rationalize the direction forward. So we'll have our interest in something. You know, you might hear somebody saying, or the voice in your head saying, oh, that's silly, that's a silly thing to do, that's a waste of money, that's a waste of time. So that intuitive part of us, we are going to try and continue to override. So that'll be the challenge. That's why the Queen is actually working with us at the moment, because the Queen is going to keep us motivated and interested. The Queen is going to diminish the lack of faith that this is a good thing for us. The thing that the fear part of our mind that wants to shut everything down, that block, the lying part of our mind. No, the Queen will help override that and shut that down and grow our intuition stronger. So that because the intuition is in the challenge part, it means that we are going to strengthen our intuition by challenging our intuition. Oh, I've got things that want to bite me, so bear with me. Okay, so what does this mean? How are we going to act, react, respond? 9 of Wands. Fabulous. In other words, because the Queen of Wands is there, we are going to face the challenge. So 9 of Wands means that the challenges that come up to meet us are going to be like we won't be able to just push them out the way. We can sit down and do nothing. However, because the Queen of Wands is there again, there'll be the motivation to address those actual things that are in the way, not the voices in our head, or the denial, or that sort of self-sabotage part, but the actual things to get things moving. So for example, if you wanted to start swimming lessons and you had all the motivation, but the part of you saying, oh, I have to get up early, whatever, the 9 of Wands is going to actually reveal in truth what are the actual barriers. And because they'll be revealed in truth, the part of us that says, well, I can actually sort that, that's fine. And so therefore we will feel empowered. Well, so I can actually do that. And then we will know that these are the things that we are to face to move forward and achieve that goal of bettering ourselves and making things, well, just enriching our lives. That's the word, enriching our lives. Oh, so what does this mean for our future, or possible future? Here we have the 8 of Swords. Any 8 of Swords represents that part of us that feels an obligation to one thing and feels an obligation to something else. But neither of those things, while they draw our attention because we can see the issues, they will divide our attention because they really have nothing to do with us. So in other words, it requires us to draw our energy back and decide what we want for ourselves. In other words, our possible future, to move forward, to develop ourselves and what do you call it? Face the things that are going to, like the little barriers and so forth, listen to our intuition, will expose the parts of us where we are draining our energy for things that really are none of our business. And so really the possible future, or the potential future, or where we are headed with this, is going to reveal, and this is really tough sometimes, will reveal where we are basically putting our energy where we shouldn't, or that is, I call the 8 of Swords the mind your own business card. So, in other words, where we are not needing to put our attention, where our attention is not actually required, we're actually sticking our nose into something just because we can see an issue and just because we can see a solution to that issue. If it's not ours, then we can just watch. And so the 8 of Swords is going to remind us to take a step back and let that train wreck happen, and let that train wreck happen, and really pull our energy back for us to develop ourselves, for us to overcome those obstacles, to listen to our intuition. Is really, we can't be just everything to everybody else. We must do ourselves first. And again, this is why the Queen of Wands is in the mix. she's going to remind us to do for ourselves. So what does this mean for our, what do you call it, our like soul development or spiritual development? Sorry, I've got things crawling on my leg. Whoops. Woo. I'm back. Okay. So what does this mean for our soul development or spiritual development? It means that we have, sorry, Five of Swords. Five of Swords represents the, you call it like the oppressor. So spiritually, where we are draining our energy because we are succumbing to either other people's expectations of us or what we think other people expect of us. So in other words, no more playing small. We are either oppressing ourselves or allowing others or situations to oppress us, hence the this one here, the Eight of Swords. We are using that either as an excuse or it's a pattern of behaviour that we've grown up with and now we're ready to let go. So spiritually, we are going to stand strong. We are going to learn how to move away from oppression, recognise the oppression and decide whether we're going to use that as an excuse to play small or to be our best potential. So good luck with that. The way I see this overall is that there's going to be opportunities to develop ourselves. We're going to have the motivation and the direction to do that and the support, like spiritual support. And whenever we feel a bit laggy or, am I going to do it? No. The Queen of Wands is going to come in and say, yeah, go on, you can do this. We're going to manage our intuition and listen to our heart rather than that self-sabotage and strengthen our intuition. We are going to face the obstacles that are going to help us, the actual real obstacles to prevent us from achieving that goal. We are going to be exposed to where we are actually draining our energy and not really minding our own business. So pulling that energy back because now it's time to be selfish. It doesn't serve anything or anybody for us to be giving our energy out and not to ourselves first. What is that saying? Fill your own cup and then you can give to others. The Eight of Swords is you're giving to everybody else and not giving to yourself. The other thing, and then of course the spiritual meaning is all about oppression. And I just, again, I wanted to say this is that there'll be a sense where we will have a bit of a battle because where there is oppression or where there is somebody trying to tell us, oh, you can't, there might be external things saying you can't do this, you can't do that. That might be the voices. These are the things that we'll have to face and stand up to as well. That's why the first cards are so strong, because it's all about us. So it's about overriding those influences that we have been maybe pandering to or even escaping into, telling ourselves that we're doing a good job because we're doing this. And so it's about pulling that back in. If they're going to be exposed and we're going to make a decision about how we move forward. The best thing I like about this is that, as I said, we are going to be required to no longer play small. It is time to shine. It is time to move forward and be our best. And so when we are our best, we can give more to people or give more to the external world because we are satisfying a part of ourselves and there's much more energy to give. When we are draining ourselves by giving to others first, unnecessarily, there is nothing left in the tank to do any good for anybody. And so there is actually nothing left and we're constantly drained. So it's about pulling all that back in, shutting down the detractors and recognizing where those detractors are and where there was a pattern of behavior or where there's been toxic people or situations in our lives. We are going to say or have the decision to say no more and make that decision because the energy is very ripe to get that moving. Anyway, that's the weekly forecast for week commencing February 13th, 2023. My name's Vicki Haspels. I'm the Conscious Mystic, and I will see you next week. Have a great one. Mwah, from me. Bye. See you guys next week with love from me. Mwah.